Voters in Ohio are set to decide a measure tomorrow with implications for the pro-life movement. The measure, known as Issue 1, would increase the threshold needed to pass a constitutional amendment, and it could complicate a push by pro-abortion advocates to guarantee so-called abortion rights on the upcoming ballot in November. The final tally is expected tomorrow, and one report says early voting has been very busy. And here now to break this all down for us is Father Dave Pivonka, president of Franciscan University in Steubenville, Ohio. Father Dave, great to see you as always. It seems that Ohio is really a battleground state in elections, and this year really is no different. Can you talk to us about why Issue 1 is so critical in your state?
Sure. I mean, honestly, Tracy, it comes down to the protection of those who are most vulnerable, and it's the protection of babies. Is that what we're trying to do is to make it more difficult to change the Constitution, because outside forces and people that honestly don't respect the dignity of the human person, the dignity of the baby, want to try to take advantage of that in changing the Constitution. So we want to be able to make it at least a threshold of 60% of the Ohio voters would need to favor a change in the Constitution. Presently, it's only 50% plus one person. So we want to make it more difficult. Our concern is that outside forces are going to try to move in Ohio, not only try to, they're going to. They've pumped in, Planned Parenthood has pumped in millions of dollars to try to defeat this. So what we want is to vote yes on Prop 1 that would make it a 60% threshold to change the Constitution here in Ohio.
Yeah, and I want to talk about your op-ed in Newsweek. I know you mentioned that a codification of pro-abortion rights would remove hard-won protections for unborn sisters and brothers. Father Dave, would you mind going into more detail for us on some of those victories in Ohio and how they could be eroded?
Yeah, well, so Ohio is moving towards really protecting, with the heartbeat bill, protecting unborn babies. And if this passes, then it will make it easier for groups and pro-abortion groups to come in and erode those protections that the babies have had. So we want to be able to block that up front. There's going to be another election that's going to take place in the fall, and that is really in the state of Ohio, protecting and making a law to protect the unborn children. So if this particular prop passes, it'll make it more difficult for them to change the Constitution. So we want to do whatever we can do to be able to stand up, to be able to bring people together and galvanize the protection of unborn children. So we are inviting all, not just Catholics, but all people who believe that unborn babies should be protected, and we should have laws that actually recognize the value and the dignity of the human person. We're really grateful here in Ohio. We've got legislators and we've got a governor that are behind this. We just want to make sure that the will of the people is followed through on this.
Yeah, and also, as you point out in your op-ed, one key element at the center of this Issue 1 is the battle between activists and established legislation. Why do you think these activists are gaining so much ground when it comes to pro-abortion rights?
Yeah, I think a couple of reasons. First off, it is really, the first thing you said Ohio is a battleground, and this is a battle. And I think that the pro-abortion groups maybe see a little bit of their territory that they're losing, and they're going to fight back hard for that. There's also a tremendous amount of money that's behind this, that this is, as you know, the abortion industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and they want to make sure that that industry is protected. So they're seeing maybe a little bit of the fight, that they're beginning to lose it, and they're wanting to fight back. And that's why it's so important that those of us who are pro-life, that we go to the vote, that we go to the market and we vote, we enter into the dialogue, we enter into this arena, and we don't just let them fight, but we're part of that fight as well.
Yeah, and I want to talk more about that, Father Dave. I know you say inaction. It's simply not an option tomorrow. Talk to us more about that and what you are calling on from voters tomorrow.
Yeah, so there was some early voting that was possible, but that was stopped for today. So people who would want to vote are not able to vote early today. So they're going to have to go to the polls tomorrow. We're utilizing parishes and the university, helping with those who are pro-life that want to support that. We're helping them get transportation, making sure that they're able to get to the polls. I was just reading an article this morning, and they suspect that it's not going to be a great turnout. Well, we want it to be a great turnout. All the people that are interested in this topic and interested in protection of the dignity and the value of human life, we want to help you be able to vote tomorrow.
Yeah, we're praying for that as well. And
yeah,
Father Dave,
absolutely.
yeah, and before I let you go, one thing I also want to talk about is these similar ballot measures existing in multiple other states, including Florida, Missouri, and Arkansas. Do you think that Ohio could serve as maybe a bellwether as we move forward, or do you think this will simply be a state issue?
Honestly, it will be interesting to see how this vote goes. The other side has had a great amount of money, even from outside of Ohio, has spent a great deal of money. I mean, we're seeing ads and Instagram, all the social media. So it'll be interesting to see how this turns out. We're continuing to pray, and we're trying to bring people together to do what's right here.
Yeah, absolutely. Father Dave, thank you so much for coming on and speaking to us about all this.
It's always a blessing.
We appreciate it. God bless you.
Thank you. You too.